You checked the time and still didn't believe it. Not because the clock was wrong, but because you were. That familiar moment when your screen says one thing, your body says another, and you realize you've been living in a different hour internally. You felt that dislocation recently, answering, "I'm good," while your nervous system whispers, "I'm not." Smiling in the right places, but arriving late to your own life. And that's why this is a test with no words and no numbers, only shadows, because shadows don't negotiate, and they only report what is. Most people think time is something you read, but time is something you carry. You can be surrounded by schedules and still feel lost, hit every deadline and still feel behind, be early to everything and still be absent for it. That isn't laziness, it's mental drift, the everyday kind that begins with small fractures, opening your phone and forgetting why, walking into a room and losing the thread of yourself, replaying a conversation not for meaning but to check if you sounded safe. It starts as overthinking. Then the duller phase arrives, emotional numbness. Not sadness, just lower volume, where you become efficient at reacting and terrible at feeling. Then masking fatigue sets in and you learn the performance of being fine. The nods, the eye contact, the laugh timed half a beat after everyone else, so convincingly that you don't notice you're acting until you're alone, and your body collapses like it's been holding a pose all day. This isn't a personal failure, it's outdated software. Your survival brain was built for sudden danger, quick decisions, visible threats. But modern life isn't a tiger in tall grass. It's ambiguity, mixed signals, unspoken expectations, and 1,000 tiny social shadows your mind is asked to interpret without rest. So the brain adapts the only way it knows how. It speeds up, labels, fills in gaps, and calls familiar things safe even when they're quietly damaging. If you're a high potential mind, it hits harder because you notice patterns, micro shifts, inconsistencies, and you've also been trained to doubt that perception, to call it overthinking, to call your intuition anxiety. So you push harder with more focus, more effort, more control. And for a while, it works, until it doesn't, because the enemy isn't your willpower. The enemy is the automatic interpreter beneath your willpower, subconscious programming, cognitive bias, conditioned responses, an internal system that doesn't want truth, it wants certainty. So it offers the fastest explanation, not the truest one. And that's why time feels warped, not because minutes changed, but because meaning did. Because your mind time travels by rewriting the past, forecasting the future, and trying to prevent pain by staying ahead of it, while you pay for that with presence. Now watch the shadows and imagine a room with a window, a cup on a table, a chair pulled slightly out. The clock on the wall says one time, but the shadow says another. Your eyes will want to trust the clock because it's official and agreed upon and numbered, yet the shadow is the only honest witness. It reveals the angle of light, the position of the sun, the direction reality is moving, and it cannot pretend. This is where the test becomes psychological, because the gap between clock and shadow is the gap between your public story and your private truth. Your public story says you're fine, productive, in control, while your private truth shows up in what you avoid, the tension behind your forehead, how fast you answer, and how quickly you rush to closure so you can stop feeling uncertain. That rush is cognitive friction, your eyes seeing what's present while your survival brain negotiates what it's allowed to accept, trading accuracy for relief and whispering, "It's probably nothing," not because it knows, but because it wants quiet. But your brain has a back door, and most people never find it because they think the solution is more force, more discipline, more pressure. This is the psychology of the 1%, not money, not status, perception. They don't see more because they try harder. They see more because they delay the label, creating a small space between stimulus and meaning. And inside that space, you become sovereign, because the moment you can pause the automatic interpretation, you can rewrite it. That rewriting happens through quiet precision and internal alignment, letting your attention rest on what's subtle and doesn't shout, staying with silence without filling it,
holding eye contact 1 second longer to remain present, noticing the first story your mind tells you and asking for the second, separating anxiety from intuition and truth from familiarity. And as your life stops feeling like a blur of obligations and starts feeling like information you can read, the power of the unseen, not mysticism, but precision, the final question remains. If the shadow can reveal the truth the clock tries to cover, what else in your life is official but not real?